Hi all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I want to share a terrifying story with you out of Tampa, Florida, where a mother of four took her three young sons and fled to a shelter to escape her dangerous husband and almost lost her life for it. 29-year-old Crystal Bresnahan told Tampa Bay News that she fled a DV situation at home with her three boys with no plans to return back to her marriage. She said her husband asked if she was ever going to take him back, and she told him no, which was apparently an answer he couldn't live with. So, when Michael Bresnahan made arrangements to pick his three young sons up from Crystal to visit with them and take them to the park on July 17th of 2023, he had already decided how he was going to deal with the situation. And as his sons were getting ready to go with him for a fun day at the park, he was getting ready to scar their little lives forever. Crystal met her husband to drop off her sons down the street from the shelter where they were staying. And as she began to kiss her sons goodbye, she said Michael pulled out a knife and tried to force her into the car. When she refused to get in, he did the unthinkable. Right out in the open, in front of their three sons, he began stabbing her as she screamed for help. She said he stabbed her 13 times in her back, stomach, arms, and legs as she fought back and could hear her son yelling for her husband to stop before he killed her. After the attack, Michael drove away with their boys and left her bleeding in the street. He drove his sons, no doubt terrified, to his brother's house, where he dropped them off and obtained a gun. Then he fled his brother's house and called his brother on the phone, telling him he had nowhere to go and that he wanted to end his life. After police were contacted about Crystal's stabbing, they began looking for Michael's vehicle, and they were able to track him down, but he refused to stop and proceeded to lead police on a chase through the city. But the chase did not end with Michael Bresnahan's arrest. It ended with a crash and a violent shootout that Michael did not survive. Because Crystal's condition was critical when she arrived at the hospital, she underwent multiple surgeries to save her life. So she did not know where her sons were, or that her husband had not survived a shootout with police for days following the attack. She also didn't know that while she was undergoing life-saving surgeries, her husband's parents filed paperwork with the court to take emergency custody of her sons, which the court granted. So as soon as she was stable enough to speak with police, she learned that her abusive husband was dead and his parents had custody of her boys. And not only did they take emergency custody, but news reports say they decided they aren't going to give them back to her without a fight, and they've told the court that she is not fit to get her boys back, which has already convinced the court to extend their custody rights once. Crystal's due to take them back to court to fight for her sons again on August 14th. Her story is horrific. It's one thing to hear me tell it, it's another to hear it straight from her. I'm going to play 3 interviews she gave to Tampa Bay News, telling the horror she and her children experienced that day. But I'm going to warn you first that the news clips included her screams for help that were captured on a nearby surveillance system, because it's not only heartbreaking to hear, but it might be too much for some, and it is disturbing in case you have little ears around. I'll follow her interviews with the video of the police chase in case you're interested in watching it. But I chose to edit out the shootout at the very end because it was too up close and graphic, and police say that was when Michael Bresnahan lost his life, so I'm not going to show it on my channel. But Crystal's interviews and the chase leading up to the crash that brought it to an end paints a lot of the picture of the horror that unfolded that day that changed Crystal and her son's lives forever. I don't know how they'll even begin to heal from what they've experienced, but I'll be praying that they find a way. I can only imagine the nightmares her sons have probably experienced since that day, if they've even slept at all. Thank you so much for listening to Crystal's story. Now, hear what she had to say about that terrifying day.
It happened in Tampa. Crystal Bresnahan says she's doing as well as can be expected. She is still in the hospital tonight. She says they were swapping kids on Monday when her estranged husband tried to force her into his car with a knife. She worried that she would be killed if she got inside. From there, she says he brutally attacked her in front of their children, then took off, leaving her bleeding right in the middle of the road.
As I got to the passenger side of the car that was facing the fence, he tried to get me in the car. He put the knife in my back, told me, get in the car, don't scream. I immediately just started screaming. I started fighting because I knew that I had no chance if I got in the car. Who's going to take care of my kids if I'm not here? That was all that was going through my mind, is I have to survive this so that I can take care of my kids, so that I can love them, because nobody's going to do that like I will.
A fundraiser has now been set up to help Crystal recover and to help her buy a car after hers was destroyed in the middle of all of that. Tonight, she says her main focus is her young children, who unfortunately had to witness it all.
Crystal was staying at a domestic violence shelter just steps from where she was stabbed.
And tonight, only with 10 Tampa Bay's Angelina Salcido, Crystal shares the terrifying moments and the little voices that got her through. And we do want to warn you here. Her story is a graphic case of domestic violence.
Hearing Crystal's story isn't easy. This 29-year-old mom is here at Tampa General Hospital tonight after undergoing several surgeries. She is opening up and sharing her story for the very first time. She's a miracle and she is brave. She tells me she never opened up about the abuse she was going through until recently. Now she's speaking out knowing it could save someone's life.
I could not die there. I couldn't, that couldn't be the last time my boys saw me.
She fought for her kids.
I don't think I'll ever forget my son's voice, because as my husband was stabbing me in that front seat, he was saying, "Dad, please stop. You're going to kill Mom."
Crystal Bresnahan can't forget their reaction. It's a shock and pain the 29-year-old mother isn't sure she's fully processed. Her husband of 8 years was stabbing her down the street from the domestic violence shelter she ran to protect her life.
I was so scared of this man that I took my children and I ran to a shelter. He wanted to know if I would ever take him back. And I've been telling him this whole time, no. I guess it hit different on Monday.
33-year-old Michael Bresnahan acted out in a way Crystal hadn't seen before.
The minute that I touch my son's face and go to put my lips on him, I feel the knife in my back.
He told her not to scream, but she fought back. Surveillance video from a nearby home caught her screams.
I fought like hell not to get in that car. He's trying to knock me out.
When he couldn't, the man she fell in love with stabbed her over a dozen times.
A bunch in my stomach, my legs, this arm was shredded.
From her hospital bed, Crystal says she's been given a second chance at life. She didn't know her husband died after leading police on a chase and then shootout until an officer told her.
Even though he stabbed me almost 20 times and left me for dead, it still breaks my heart that he did that to himself.
Crystal says she never intended for her kids to be without their father.
I want to make sure they're okay, because I know they're not. They don't have their dad or me now.
She's fighting to get her kids back after Michael's family filed an emergency injunction to get custody. While she waits to tell them Mom is okay.
I want to help people get out. I don't want anyone to ever go through what I went through.
Crystal fights for anyone else who might be in her position because they aren't alone.
Get out and don't look back.
In Tampa, Angelina Salcido, 10 Tampa Bay.
And if you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, there are resources available. You can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or the Florida hotline at 1-800-500-1119. And just hours ago, she spoke only to 10 Tampa Bay's Angelina Salcido 1 week after being released from the hospital. Tonight, she tells us surviving the horrific attack is just the beginning of a new battle.
I almost died, but now I'm free. now I'm free.
Crystal Bresnahan is finally safe.
I can live the rest of my life with peace.
She's a survivor, out of the hospital after being stabbed 13 times by her own husband.
Got a bunch up here, and then the ones on my back, those ones still hurt a lot. This just kind of goes all the way across. I felt safe while I was there, but I always had in the back of my mind, like, if I keep telling him no, he's eventually going to get so upset.
July 17th, Crystal says he snapped.
Those screams, kind of puts me back there. I screamed with all of my might.
Michael Bresnahan attacked her as he picked up the kids to take them to the park.
I never thought that he could do something like this to me. I was very wrong about that.
Her wounds are a reminder of what she's endured, but now she's experiencing an even bigger heartache.
My hope is that I get my kids back. That is a pain I wouldn't wish on anyone. Not being with them is harder than getting stabbed as many times as I did.
Michael's family filed an emergency injunction after the attack to have temporary custody of the kids. After a few visits in court, it's been extended.
His mother has them, which is the craziest part of all of it, because that's where all of his problems come from.
The mom of four faces another battle despite being a survivor of domestic violence. Her three sons witnessed the attack.
I need them to heal properly. They need me to heal properly.
That's why Crystal won't stop fighting until she gets custody.
They don't deserve this. I know that I don't, but they don't even more.
In Tampa, Angelina Salcido, 10 Tampa Bay.
He's going into central maintenance.
Somebody set up behind us and set up spikes just in case.
He's coming up at the gate at central maintenance. Going
Traffic.
into the parking lot just to the left where the trash trucks are. If we got somebody at the back with spikes, he's going to be coming back out if he can't get out of it.
Traffic.
There's no way out from what I can see. All right, no way out. He's in the that we can see. He's in the lot with all the trash trucks. He's coming up to the gate on the back side.
He's going through it.
Yep, just drove through the gate, coming out the gate on the back side.
Road.
Southbound on Grady. Southbound on Grady now.
Coming up to
That's going to be coming up to Laurel now in just a second.
Hey, SO to PD just above you at almost 1,500.
Tampa Tower. Jeff, I'll stay at or below 1,000. We're busy right now. Got pursuit going, but I'll stay below 1,000.
Tampa Tower, runway 19 our left, clear to land, wind 110 at 7.
Target instead of
land, 19 our left.
Towards Dale Mabry if he comes out that way, I don't know.
I'll just stay above you.
Copy.
All right, coming to where Laurel meets the entrance ramp for 275. He's going to go the wrong way there to Dale Mabry.
American 1470, runway 19 right,
Southbound Dale Mabry,
line up and wait.
275.
19 right, line up and wait, American 1470.
181. Let me get him put unit in front of us, please. Vehicle 1.
November 247 Kilo Golf, contact departure.
On its March 7 Kilo.
Traffic is still light for Dale Mabry. You still got, pretty heavy traffic at the intersections. Roads are dry, and he's driving fairly slow, probably 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour right now. All right, he's through Cypress, still southbound on Dale Mabry.
American 1470, wind 1207, runway 19 right, clear for takeoff.
See if we can get stop sticks at
American 1470, runway 19 right, clear for
Get
takeoff.
stop sticks at Kennedy.
All right, 19 right, clear for takeoff, American 1470.
The right turn lane's the only one open.
Right now, the right turn lane's the only lane open at Kennedy, and he's probably going to take it.
Came in 201 Tampa Tower, runway 19 right, line up and wait.
In front of him.
19 right, line up and
He's
wait,
going to go around
201.
that and cut through traffic. Dale Mabry and Kennedy, he's going to go eastbound now. Eastbound Kennedy from Dale Mabry.
Try to get sector F. The next one's going to be Himes.
Yep.
See if F can set up on the bridge.
Also, let's see if we can get units on Armenia and Howard.
Yeah, he's not driving fast. Armenian Howard probably be good. He just passed Himes. He's in the left lane. He's still
American 1470, contact departure. Have a good day.
He's going northbound Glen from Kennedy. Northbound Glen from Kennedy.
Cayman 201, wind 1207, runway 19 right, cleared for takeoff.
Clear takeoff, 19 right, Cayman 201.
There's very little traffic back here. Roads are fairly dry and probably doing 30 miles an hour.
Southwest 9017, Tampa Tower, around 19 right, line up and wait.
19 right, line up and wait, northwest 9017.
David 41, David 41, they're getting behind me. I think my emergency lights are shut off in my car.
And Gray now, continuing northbound on Glen. Northbound on Glen from Gray.
Alright, got an officer, I think 2 blocks ahead. Alright, the officer 2 blocks ahead, he's coming to you. Set up those spikes.
Get behind cover.
1 block out, 1 block south of you. Pull the spikes. Alright, he's coming up to the spikes now for the units behind this vehicle.
Check.
Again, 1507.
He might have caught one edge of it. Now he's going to be eastbound on Cypress. Tried to drive around the spikes. Eastbound Cypress coming up to Lincoln now. Still continuing eastbound.
Next major's going to be McDill.
Coming up to McDill shortly if we have anybody over near McDill.
Cayman 201, contact departure.
What do you advise?
Cayman 201, contact departure.
Through McDill, still eastbound.
Cayman 201, you have a good day, contact departure here.
Anybody down towards Howard, Armenia area for spikes?
Southwest 9017, 19 right, clear for takeoff.
Miles an hour traffic.
Takeoff 19 right, Southwest 9017.
Fairly dry.
Tower, fucking 910, sir. Charlie's with you on the 19 left. Fucking 910, sir. Charlie, Tower 19 left. Clear to land, wind 1605. Clear to land 19 left for 910, sir, Charlie. Hotels 399, turn left at Sierra, contact ground 17.
Traffic. We need Delta 3.
Delta 3, ground 7.
0.7, thank you.
Coming up to Armenia. Next one's going to be Howard if we have anybody in the area with spikes.
Cutting around cars through Armenia now. Still eastbound Cypress.
See anybody with spikes yet?
He's got a line of traffic.
Yep.
Alright, he's going to be cutting around traffic at Howard and northbound Howard. Northbound Howard from Cypress.
Clear lane 19 left, time with sir.
Roger
910, sir. Charlie, yes, sir. 19 left, clear to land.
The interstate.
Clear line 19 left for 910, sir, Charlie.
You're going to be coming up to like LaSalle Arch in that area.
No, he's already passed Arch.
Okay.
Southwest 9017, have a good day,
LaSalle.
contact departure, see you. Going to park,
Alright, he's going under the interstate right now. Under 275 northbound on Howard. Through Green, still northbound. Across Main Street, still northbound on Howard.
We should have one vehicle, one look at one marked cars up here.
We got anybody northbound up towards
Towards MLK or
towards
Columbus.
MLK or Columbus. Passing St. John, still slow going, probably 30-40 miles an hour.
Give me the radio.
Hard up 1636 is on the ILS.
Right lane's the only one open right now.
1636, temperature 1 down the right, clear to land, wind 1705.
Clear to land,
Sorry,
19
you wouldn't
right.
let me key in.
At Columbus. Going to be going eastbound Columbus from Howard. If you would advise Sector E, just in case it continues across. And if we can get somebody in Sector E to start setting up some spike strips on Columbus, that would be good. Coming up to Fremont.
Approaching the bridge, 1 out.
Coming up to Rome at the bridge.
Giving updated speeds and stuff. Weather.
Alright, crossing over the bridge. Still probably 40 miles an hour. Weather looks pretty dry. Got a light rain. And traffic is light.
Falcon 910, Sierra Charlie, when you're able, turn left, contact ground point 7, see ya.
Okay, when able, turn left, 10.7, Sierra Charlie.
Alright, Columbus. And he's going to be coming up to Glenwood here in just a second. Be coming up to Boulevard shortly if we got anybody over there.
See anybody ahead.
See if I'm Nebraska in case he continues east.
Alright, we can't see anybody ahead. He cut around traffic. Still going to be going eastbound on Columbus.
Your next major is going to be Tampa.
Next major is going to be Tampa if we got anybody up that way.
I'll see officer, so.
Yeah, go highway. Traffic.
Coming up to Highlands.
Got red
got
ball.
some congestion in front of him. Probably going to want to cut around. He's going to go northbound on Highlands. He's going to be coming up to Euclid now, northbound Highlands.
Did not hit the spikes. Eastbound Euclid.
Eastbound Euclid.
Under flight 2374, ready 90 right.
Northbound through an alley now.
Wait a second, please.
Frontier flight
Northbound through an alley. This is going to wind up back out to Tampa, guys. So he's going to come back out to
Flight
Tampa.
2374, roger. Hold short. New departure instructions will be 180 to maintain 6,000. Frequency 119.6 miles.
Gladys cutting across Tampa.
Copy, looking heading 180 up to 6,000, and we'll contact 119.65.
Florida.
Frontier flight 2374, holding short 19 right.
Sir, frequency is 119.65, maintain 6,000, hold short.
Signal 4, Florida and Gladys. All right, the other car is out of the way and ran. They're